G'day guys, Josh here, that Aussie expat. I've been asked a few times recently what's my monthly cost of living. Now that's going to vary for everyone. Not everyone wants the same lifestyle, not everyone has the same amount of money, and not everyone has a permanent place to live without paying rent. In an earlier video I think I worked out before I spend food, I spend about 22,000 pesos on bills. Now if you're not like me and you don't need internet, you've got your pocket Wi-Fi, or you're staying in an Airbnb that has free Wi-Fi, then you're not, minus 3,500 pesos on that. If you're not like me and you don't work from home and you don't use the aircon all the time, you can probably reduce that down by about 2,000 pesos. So let's say your bills are around about 16,000 pesos a month before you eat and before you pay rent. And that, as I said, that includes your visa and everything else. So let's say you find a rental for 10 or 15,000 pesos a month. You can get that. You can get good deals in Airbnb. You can speak to certain hotels and they'll give you month rent. And I would suggest to do that when you first get here, because at the end of the day, you're not going to even know if the city that you land in is the one that you want to be in. I would never ever suggest someone to get boots on the ground and then rush in and find a unit because, I need to save money, That sort of idea is actually going to waste you money, because you're going to either get a unit or a house for 6 months to a year, find out in 2 months time that you don't even like the city that you're in and that you want to move closer to the beach, or you want to move closer to the mountains, or your neighbours are shit, or there's a whole heap of different things, or the lady love that you came over to the Philippines for, it didn't work out, now you're stuck in the same city as her and you're really depressed, and and then you want to waste money because you want to break your bond, and you break your bond, you lose your 2 months rent. It's just a pain in the ass. I wouldn't do that. I would stay in Airbnbs and I would travel around for about a year to find where I feel comfortable, and I did that for 2-3 years, and I then decided to live in Davao for a bit. I decided to live in Cebu for a bit. I decided to live in Dumaguete for a bit. I lived in Iloilo for a bit, and this is all in that period. After the 3 years, I was moving around constantly because I was never really happy. When I moved to Cebu, I was working there and it was great, but after a while the traffic got real bad and it was just a pain in the ass. And Dumaguete was fantastic, I guess, for what it was, but after a while I got bored with Dumaguete. It's not the biggest town. The beaches are okay there, but they're so far away to get to anywhere. I don't know why people move to Dumaguete. It's great to visit. That's my personal, and there's too many expats there. And a lot of them are burnout expats. Not all of them, there's some really great guys there. Don't go, I know a few lads there, but Filipinos get a really bad impression of foreigners when there's a lot of us in a certain area, because some people expect special privileges for being foreigners, which is weird. But today I went to pay my bill and there's heaps of people there of the electricity. I walk in, the guard gives me a senior thing, which means I was going to be served in next 3 or 4 people, but there was 40 people waiting, and I was like, man, I'm not a senior, I look old, yay, beard, grey, but I was like, oh, bloody, it looks, if I take that, it looks rude. But anyway, look, I'll get back to what I was saying. So you're travelling around, travel is not expensive here, buses are cheap, jeepneys are cheap, you can get around, have a look, you eat your rice and viand, which is, just you can get them anywhere. You have to, look, you're going to have to get your stomach used to eating at street foods. Some people, they don't cope very well at the start, but just do it, get your gut ready for it. You'll thank yourself later because it gets cheaper on the wallet. You get some really great food at small little places. You see a lot of Filipinos eat somewhere, you know that's good, just go in there, grab that. Most of the times you can get away with 80 to 100 pesos for a really big meal, so that's going to save you a lot of money. And that's the thing with Airbnb. Airbnb might be a little bit more expensive than, say, renting a house for 6 months, but with an Airbnb compared to a hotel, at least you get to cook your own food, which is great. But then again, if you're like me, and I used to travel around a little bit, kettles make great hot dogs and great boiled eggs. It's probably why I got real fat while I was traveling around, because I was eating cheap. But then again, I was using the money I was saving, I was using to travel. Probably YouTube wasn't around back then. I probably should have done shit, but whatever. So I reckon, and this is just from mates that I know that live here, and they say I spend too much money, but then again, I've lived here for a long time, and I like certain things, and my missus is a doctor, so she likes certain things, and I don't have to do things to make her happy. It's just we both have similar interests and similar things that we like. We don't really like living in the city so much, but with her career, we don't have much of a choice at the moment. So it is what it is. So even in living in Bacolod, so houses here, like the same house that you can rent for 20,000 here, you go literally 20 minutes outside of Bacolod, you can get them for 10 in a nice little private subdivision. It's quiet. You know what I mean? Like, so if you're here for a little bit and you're just renting or staying at a hotel for a bit, get around. Start looking at bargains. Don't grab the first thing that you see because you're like, oh, if I don't stop doing this, I'm gonna hemorrhage money. No, you're not really, because if you rush into shit, you're gonna lose money regardless, and that means rushing into marriage, rushing into buying a house and land that you can't even bloody own. That's just stupid. Rushing into, just don't rush, right? Take your time. And living here, like, I would suggest, if you don't have a currency that's like 50 to 60,000 a month, you're going to struggle here. You can live on 30 to 35,000 a month, yes, but you want to be putting that the extra away, because shit does happen. And as I've pointed out, if you're on a tourist visa, you've got to leave every 3 years. The visa prices are going up and up and up. You might get sick. You might get the shits with where you're living, and you might want to leave. So I would say that 40k is doable. 40,000 pesos is very doable to live, to rent, to eat, and as long as you're on a budget. So I bring my own water when I go out, because water usually costs 20 pesos, and it costs me 20 pesos for like a 5-gallon drum of water. So why would I pay 20 pesos for 500 mils? That's crazy. And reduces plastic, which is good. Greta won't cry. Don't forget that the money will, whatever rate that you're getting now for your currency is not always going to be that rate. It's going to fluctuate. So you have to be ready for that. We are having a very lean year this year. When I go to the wet markets at the moment, because I used to go to the weekend markets, but wet markets is cheaper. It's just a pain in the bum. But at the moment, I'd rather spend that extra hour saving myself 150 pesos every couple of days than spending an extra 150 I don't need. Like kamote, which is your sweet potato, 20 pesos a kilo. That's great. There's a lot of stuff you can do with kamote. There's a lot of things that you can do to save you money. And I would suggest, so you're traveling around and whatnot, I would have half your days that you're here as lean days, where you're just not spending any other money than food. And that will give you a bit of time to relax, a bit of time to download some information for yourself and have a look around where you are. And at the same time, it gives you more money for when you want to go out. And I'd suggest to everyone to do that. And plus, it's really good for you mentally to have a couple of lock-in days once a week. You'll see guys that are angry all the time, and things do get upsetting sometimes here, but if you take a little bit of time to yourself, have a day to lock in, watch some Netflix. In my opinion, 50 to 60k is what you need here. That's what I would bring. So we try and live on 150, 200 pesos a day on food for two of us. That sounds like a lot, but I don't want to live on bloody rice and shit all the time. So, my neighbor, she lives on 300 pesos a day on food, but she has a little boy. She has 3 staff, so there's 4.5 people. They live on 300 pesos a day on food, and they eat pretty well. And they don't even go to the Libertad markets or anything. They just go down the road here and grab shit every day, and that's what a lot of Filipinos do. No matter where you are, there's gonna be within walking distance or wherever you are, unless you're living in a guarded subdivision, then it's probably a scooter distance. But if you're living in the city, every couple of blocks, there's always going to be a night market there where you can pick up some vegetables from the side vendors. It's a little bit more expensive than the wet markets, yes, but then again, if you're only buying for that day, then you're not going all the way to the jeepney and back. It works out well for eggs, onions. As I said, I don't buy garlic here at the moment. I buy minced garlic. It's just cheaper than real garlic. I don't know why that is. Garlic is expensive. I feel there's some sort of conspiracy there, guys, because garlic shouldn't be that expensive. Okay, so let's break down my weekly cost for you, and then we'll multiply that by 4 on top of the 21,000 that I usually spend for fuel and shit. And if you don't have a car, you don't need fuel either. So yeah, that's another 3,000 pesos a month from my other video that you wouldn't have to worry about. So, you know, like taking that into account, and you could probably minus 6,000, 7,000 pesos from my original video if you don't need those things. If you do, that's another thing. Jeepneys are cheap. Jeepneys are like 8 pesos. Yeah, they get packed. Try not to go during peak hours, and that's good. You know, if you wait till 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, it's not as busy. And then you want to get going by about 1 or 2, so it's not as busy. 3-ish. And anything after that, and it starts getting really busy with jeepneys. Always, I know people wear masks. I don't know how much that stops the pollution, but it probably does help a little bit. And just keep an eye on purse snatchers and people that cut your bags over in the big cities. I don't have to worry about that in Bacolod. Bacolod's great, but just keep an eye on it when you're doing it. And, you know, don't be stupid. Don't be bringing out your mobile phone and your wallet and stuff while you're in poor areas. This is dumb. Who does that shit? If we minus all that crap, minus all the stuff that I need that you probably don't need from the other video, let's start at around about 14,000 pesos. So 14,000 pesos over here. So weekly budget on food is about 150 pesos for us. So you multiply that by 7, and that is like 1,050. Let's say 1,200 pesos. Let's say 1,200 pesos a week on food. That gets you your meat, your veggies, and everything you need. You know, 1,200 multiplied by 4 is, let's say, 5,000 pesos a month on food. 5,000 pesos a month on food is doable, and if you add another let's say another 2 or 3,000 pesos on top of that to go out a little bit, because you don't want to be stuck around. So you're looking at 8,000 pesos a month for food, for a little bit of going out food. That's fine. You probably want to put away a little bit of money for amusements. Maybe you want to go to the cinema. I reckon 50 grand. 50 grand and you're laughing. 50 grand if you're smart. And you don't mind roughing it a bit. Like, as I said, if you can lean up, you can be smart about, you know, you really watch every bloody peso that you spend. I know that sounds horrible, but it's a good idea. And after a while, if you find an okay missus, or you get like a decent visa, like you get a retirement visa or anything like that, you can start doing side hustles, side businesses, and they're great. Side businesses actually give you something to do. Don't look at them like I'm going to make a profit from them. Look at them like they're a hobby, just to give you something to do. And every time that you're making money from it, consider it a win. Like that's, and then don't spend that money. You put that aside for something else. You know, that's your little retirement package. That's your second retirement package, or that's for your next hobby. And over a period of time, you start doing these side hustles. Some fail. Okay, so a side hustle failed. Who cares? Like it was a hobby for a little while. It gave you something to do. What else are you gonna do? Sit in a bar and drink piss all day? If you're a drunk, don't do. You're gonna need a lot more money than 40 grand, 50k. If you're a drunk, you're gonna need, you're looking at spending probably 300 to 400 pesos a day on piss. Maybe not that much, but if you're drinking out at bars and stuff, and with fellow expats, you're going to be spending a bit. So have a think about that also. And cigarettes now these days, if you're a smoker, they're expensive these days. They used to be real cheap here. So I would suggest not smoking or trying to quit before you get here. If you're a normal person, not a barfly, 40 to 50 will do you. The further you live away from the cities, the cheaper it is. Yes, but at the same time, you're still going to come into cities to do stuff. You've got to come and do your visas. So you look at that as like a holiday. If you want to do it every 2 months, it's a good idea. That way you stay in the city for like a day or two, get your visa done, buy any of the long life shit that you need, like canned goods and all that stuff, because it's going to be cheaper in the city than it is in the province. Buy all that crap you can't get and take it with you, and you're sitting pretty. That's what I reckon. So hopefully I haven't rambled on too much to tell you that, it's doable on 50k a month, 40, 50k a month. And I say 40 to 50k a month because it depends on where you rent, right? Because if you can't afford like a 20, 30,000 peso place to rent, then don't get a 20 to 30,000 peso place to rent. Those small condos, some of them are like 20 square meters, 21 square meters. Yeah, it's going to do your head in a little bit, but when you're first here, you're going to be out a fair bit anyway, so it's good. They're a good home base. I mean, at the end of the day, all you want to do is chill and watch a bit of TV and stuff. It's not any different to a lot of hotels. Really, it's just you've got it for a whole year or 6 months to a year. So, if you can get a unit for 10 to 12,000 pesos, a condo for 10 to 12,000 pesos a month, you're not paying any association dues. They're good, but you are going to pay more on electricity than a house. I would personally get an Airbnb month on, and cruise around a little bit. That would be my personal choice. That would be what I would say to do. Your mileage may vary on everything I've said. There's going to be dudes that say, hey, I need 80k or 100k a month, and there's other dudes who'll say, look, I live on 30k. That's how it's true. There's people that do. I have a mate that lives on 30. He does okay. He's happy catching jeepneys. He's happy doing all that. But if you've got a bad back like me, and jeepneys aren't really your thing, like I can catch a jeepney once or twice every now and then, but I get on too many, my back hurts. It's just not worth the hassle for me. Other than that, I'm Josh. I'm that Aussie expat. There's going to be like things that come up. One's going to say like subscribe or something. The other one's going to say watch another video. I don't feel comfortable telling you what to do, but if you have liked what I've said and you'd like to have some more information on the Philippines, or you've got any questions at all, shoot me a message. We've even got a Facebook now. Yay us.